since you guys syndicate deals with investors, and that's great to hear they have some extra money on their hands, maybe you can talk to us about the process on how you guys cultivate relationships with investors and how do you nurture those relationships. And eventually, when you guys do have a deal to show to them, what's the process for offering that deal to your investors?
Yeah, that's a great question. So initially, when we first started, it was just first ring, connections, our family, our friends, people saying, hey, mostly people coming to us and saying, hey, what are you guys doing over here? This is pretty cool. Can we do this with you? And we started letting those people in on little joint ventures here and there. And then as we started syndicating, that was really due to we hit this scale where there was referrals coming in. People had been in deals like, hey, they talked to a friend, like you should go and invest with these guys. And so it just kind of started expanding pretty organically that way. Word of mouth referral is the best way to expand any business. And that's what really got us started. Now we focus a lot as well on just building out a digital presence because everybody is somewhere on the digital landscape. I can't necessarily drive down to Nashville tomorrow and meet with an investor, but I can hop on a call with them. They can have access to me by seeing my content out in the world and then say, oh, this sounds like somebody that maybe I want to work with. And so that's been a really integral part of growing our investor base is putting out educational content to help people understand how they could get involved in this vehicle. And we don't like being salesy. We're not trying to pitch our deals to anybody or why they should work with us in particular. What we pitch is educate and learn how multifamily works, because once you learn how it works, it naturally sells yourself. The light bulb goes off and you go, this makes a lot of sense. And so we don't want people to think, hey, you need to work with us, because that's not the case. There's a lot of really good operators out there, and we might not be the right ones for you, depending on your risk profile, or the return metrics, the demographic that you're looking to invest in. And so we want to be able to connect people, whether that's connecting them to the education or connecting them with the other operators that would best serve them. And so that's been our approach from day one and served us really well in terms of once we have a deal under contract and we start going through the motions of raising capital and putting it, getting it to the closing table. It's probably no different than any other operator out there. We get the deal under contract and we start by first talking one-on-one as much as possible with the investors that we know have a high interest and we understand what they're looking for. And so when an investor comes into our funnel, we sit down and have a conversation with them so we can understand what their needs are, what their desired outcome is. And then we make notes about that so that as an opportunity comes up, we can say, oh, so-and-so, this would be a perfect fit for them. Let's call them and have that one-on-one conversation and say, hey, this thing just came across our table. Per the last time we talked, you mentioned that you were looking for this and this and this. This is going to be a really good fit for that. So we kind of do it the old school way of like phone calls and one-on-one conversations. But then we also do the email blast and we do the webinar the investor webinar where we get the group together so that you can benefit from hearing other investors' questions. And we go through the model of like, what do we see in this deal that's interesting? What's unique about it? Let's look at the underwriting assumptions together. And from there, then it's just kind of a mad dash to the finish line. These deals fill up really quickly. And so we always try to have our investors as well prepared before a deal goes under contract so that they're not left, out in the cold once it fills up. So if somebody is investing with like self-directed IRA funds, that usually takes a little bit more time to get the ball rolling. And so we like to put that on their radar because we usually know a couple days or a week in advance if a deal is going to go under contract. So we try and give as much lead time as possible.